Our buddy Joel Dreessen, former Bronco tight end, guy who's been a guest on this show a couple of times, he says that Peyton Manning is perfect for Gary Kubiak's system and that the Broncos offensively are going to be great. His words, great. What do you think of that?
Well, I trust Joel Dreessen. I think he's honest. I think he's objective. I think he sat in that chair and told us that before or right as they were
hiring Kubiak.
I don't think they'd hired Kubiak yet. Fox had left, and Joel Dreessen sat here, and it went viral. It was one of our most popular segments that we'd had maybe in the history of the program, and he said, Kubiak, you would take a bullet for Kubiak.
Yeah.
That was his exact words. That he said Kubiak may be quiet to everybody and maybe seem very soft, mild-mannered, Clark Kent, but that he could be Superman the night before. He didn't say that. I'm now kind of working my own stuff in here, but mild-mannered Clark Kent to the public, but Superman, kind of Lex Luthor-like, the night before a game, he said, boy, everybody walked out of that room after he told them about the game the next day. They would wanted to run through a wall for him. And that was his exact phrasing, run through a wall for him. So I think
you can say there's a quiet strength about Gary.
So
we've known him for a long, long time, and you can see it when you watch practice as well.
So I think Joel Dreessen has an accurate portrayal of what he talks about.
Well, not only that, the beauty of Joel Dreessen saying this is he knows Gary Kubiak's system because he played in it down in Houston, and he knows Peyton Manning because he played with Peyton here. So, is there a better source for something like that? I mean, Joel Dreessen knows both sides of this equation. So if he thinks that the two will add up and make a really nice equation.
And something I told you. I think Peyton is going to be right there at the top of the list for comeback player of the year, and people laugh at it. And they go, Peyton Manning, comeback player of the year? Well, he was the comeback player of the year when he came back from the neck surgeries. And I think people kind of dismissed him at the last 6 games of last season, and I just think he's going to have a comeback year.
Yeah.
I think Peyton has accepted what this system is going to be. And I think he has enough input in this system that he'll still be able to do no huddle in situations. He'll be able to go to the passing game when they get behind. Because I said to you guys last week when Mark Kisler was here, when you were talking about it's not his team anymore. When they get behind at halftime against New England, it's going to be his team.
Yeah, I had this very conversation with a Broncos official on the sideline today, and I said, how's Peyton been accepting all this? Because things are a little different from what they were under John Fox. And he said what you just said. He's settling in real nicely. He's starting to get used to the idea of not having the whole team on his shoulders. He's starting to get used to the idea of going to the running game a little bit more. He said he listened well to what John Elway and Gary Kubiak told him about what happened at the end of Elway's career. And he also saw it at the end of another quarterback's career. And I'm blanking right now the other quarterback they were talking about.
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, who had to hand the ball off a little bit more, who couldn't put everything on his shoulders because he was at an age where he couldn't carry the team anymore.
Those are the only 2 guys I can think of that hung around long enough where they are retooling somewhat. And I think he'll be great in this system.
Yeah.
I think the pressure is off Peyton. We haven't talked about this. I think the pressure is off him to set the records. He's going to set the records this year.
Sure, they're going to come naturally.
Reach.
Yeah.
You know, one of them is victories. He's going to win 7. He's going to win 8 games, and he takes over that record. And B, he's going to pass Brett Favre in the. Even if he's handing the ball off all the time, he'll pass
Yardage.
Brett Favre about the time the New England Patriots come to town. Would that be appropriate? Because probably Tom Brady's going to surpass him in all of that at some point. But he'll hold the record for a while.
And his numbers, look, you say he's going to have a comeback year. His numbers were pretty good last year.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but,
his numbers aren't going to be as good as last year. I think we've pretty much come to that conclusion, haven't we? But if
what would you take? If I said to you 4,000 yards, would you take over or under? He's had as many as 5,000.
Yeah, I would take the over on 4,000 yards. But as far as touchdown passes, I think you're going to see instead of 35 to 40 or in his record-setting year, 55.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see more 30 to 35. As long as the interception numbers are down, though, if the interception numbers are 7 to 10, that's a pretty damn good year. 35 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions, over 4,000 yards. That's a really good year.